I read that, Kayla, I understand.
Okay.
You're just going to receive it tonight. They're not going to be here.
Okay.
We kind of, you know, I can fill you in a little bit, and we're just going to hear it next month.
Okay. That's perfect. Then I can hear it being received.
Yeah.
But I won't be in charge. I'll let Joe take over. I mean, whatever. We can see however we need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just receiving it. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, I called you, but your line was like busy, like yeah.
Oh, really?
I've never heard that before.
On my cell phone, I don't even have a message of that. I'm sorry, John.
No, that's okay. I copied you on an email to Aaron, so if you got the email, then you don't need the phone call.
Let me look.
My next question, Aaron, is why are your shelves so neatly arranged?
You know, it's a fake background that somehow I put up at one point because I was embarrassed of my messy walls behind me, and I haven't changed it.
I like it. It's so balanced.
When I worked for the town of Guilford, I had the Guilford Green as my virtual background all the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that would be a little awkward if I had Guilford Green. And I panicked and had to put something up, and haven't changed it since. No, there's nothing this organized in my house, John.
It's so nicely arranged. Kudos.
I don't even own built-ins.
The designer, I'm impressed.
Thanks.
John and or Aaron, I have someone who's asking a question already.
We haven't even opened the meeting yet.
I know. Okay.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can open it.
Yeah, Dave. Yep, Dave, John, Joe, Kayla, and Lee. Yep.
Okay. So I'd like to open up our in the Wetlands Agency meeting for November 1st, 2021 at 7:02 p.m. Our regular meeting agenda items start with application 21-27, 77 Joshua Trail. We discussed this a little last month, but the applicants weren't here. And so we didn't even receive it, right? And so we're here. Are they here today?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm just moving him over.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes?
Oh, good. Hey, it's Jeremiah. 77.
That's great. So, oh, good. I can see you. So you have the application to remove diseased and dying trees within the wetland review area. As I noted, I think I looked at our minutes from last month. We wanted, we were hoping to see a little more information, like from an arborist, to understand better the need for these trees to come down. But please go ahead and tell us about what you would like to do.
Okay, well, essentially the project is all along. I'm sitting in the house looking to the backyard, and the wetlands is on this side of the house. And it's disease. I'm not an arborist, but beech tree disease, nematode disease. And you can see it in the trees. You can see the top of the trees. And the trees are like right along the line. Some may be in, some are not in. And it's along that line, some of them. And then there's others that are like 30 to 40 feet away from the wetland line. So, but I don't know, we've included those also in all the drawings that we numbered, just so that, so we could get as clear an understanding as possible. So I don't know if that outlines it enough. Oh, I can't hear you guys.
Yeah, Kayla, I think you're on mute, Kayla.
I hear you now.
Thank you. You'd think after a year and whatever, I would remember to do that. Okay, well, so we have your site plan and application. But so I guess then you've kind of answered the question that you haven't had an arborist come out. It's just your observation of the condition of the trees that need to come out.
We had like an 80-foot tree fall out of that same exact area onto our pool and break the concrete in the pool and stuff. So, we've been observing the progression of this area just because we've been living here almost 20 years. And we had Mike from Affordable Tree come out, and who is a licensed arborist, right? And he marked all the trees that he thought had this disease. So that's where I'm getting all my information from. I wouldn't know that otherwise.
Okay. And that, I guess, is reflected in the site plan that you have submitted? This hand drawn or, yeah.
There's a hand drawn, but then also I had sent Maria photos that were numbered 1
Right.
through 12. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah. Well, I will, so we have some of the agency members who may want to ask questions. I'll let.
John, I'll ask a question for John. Did you talk to Mr., I forget your last name, Jeremiah? I'm sorry.
Long.
Mr. Long, about our need for, or our desire for a arborist report to describe why those trees had to come out?
Yeah, I think I mentioned, I think his report though is coming from Mike, someone who works for the outfit that's going to remove the trees. He is an arborist, and I think that's the extent of Mr. Long's report, is whatever testimony his arborist gave as far as determining what trees are diseased and what trees should be removed rather than just, pruned.
So his report is just marking the trees? Is that what you're saying, John? Or
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's as much as he has offered to this point, unless Mr. Long can correct me and provide something else. But the only thing that we have is what's in the file. And I think we even brought this up at the last meeting that, that the agency would like to have more, more detailed information.
I wonder if that Mike, whatever his last name is, I'd be comfortable with the letter at least describing, what, how he went about marking the trees and why he marked the trees. I think that would be helpful for our file. I don't know what the other agency members think, but it doesn't have to be extensive, I don't think. That would be my suggestion anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if these trees are, looking at this map, they are, within the review line. It would be good to have something for our records that from Mike, the arborist, indicating why those trees should come down. And I guess how they're going to come down. And I didn't, maybe I missed that detail. But
Well, this is for receipt anyway, so we're going to have to listen to it, talk about it next month anyway, right?
Right.
So-
Right. But that would be something else to think about for next month, is to have that information as well, not just taking it out, but a little bit more detail on the machinery used, etc. Other agency members, any comments? Questions?
Yeah, I have one. Are the stumps going to be removed, or are they going to be cut flush, or pulled out, or what? What's going to happen to the stumps?
Well, I guess this is another thing that this report that Mike hopefully will provide will outline all these things. My assumption was that we were leaving stumps because we wouldn't want to go ripping stuff out of there,
Yeah.
more upset, So it's just, from what I'm understanding, it's like, I think I've given you guys what I can give. Now we have to have Mike give us the report. It's sort of like, he's the pro, so let's hear from him, right?
Yeah, and a little more detail, like explicitly stating that the stumps are going to remain and what kind of machinery he's going to need to get in and out, like, because it'll be in and near the wetlands. So we just need to know what kind of activity is going to be occurring there. And he should be able to document that. I'm sure he's done it before. But we would need that in writing so that when we see your application again next month, we have something in writing that we know we're voting on.
Yeah, is Maria on this call?
Yes?
No. Did Mike ever send anything in? I know he was promising he was going to.
No, we never received an email or any attachment. We just have your pictures.
Okay. I mean, I understand. I totally understand.
I mean, Jeremiah, I mean, I had this conversation with Mike about what the agency was going to expect and everything that they just said, including, what they're using for chainsaw oil, what they're using for, equipment. Are they going to climb? Are they going to, how are they going to remove the debris? Are they going to grind the stumps? Are they going to cut them flush? So, I did kind of go over, what I thought the agency would be, interested in hearing, and we just didn't get anything. So I don't know if he's reluctant to submit something like that, or if he is, if he does not feel comfortable doing that, I would suggest, that you employ another arborist, even if Mike's going to take the trees down, somebody else just to give an assessment to the agency if Mike doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was under the assumption that he was going to do that, so I'll talk to him. I'll give him a call and see. That's what we're waiting on now, from what I understand. It seems like straightforward, but you need to have your documentation. It's important. I get it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for me?
Looks like Joe's talking, but I can't hear him.
Okay.
Do you still want to? We can't hear you, Joe. Do you want
Anybody
to?
read lips?
Nope, can't hear you.
There you go. There you go. No.
Oh, now we can't hear you anymore.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
can hear Dave.
Okay, good, because I couldn't hear you all through the whole beginning. I guess we're all square now.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, we can't hear you. I don't know if it's your earbuds or. Oh. Is he talking to us? Oh. Okay. Well, all right.
I think what he was saying is, let's just go ahead and give approval tonight. We don't.
Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, can't. Nope, can't hear you. But sorry, So I think, but you can do this non-verbally. Well, do you want to add? So you can do yes or no, thumbs up or thumbs down. Did you want to make a comment on this application?
He's typing, it looks like, so.
I like charades. Oh, he's good. Okay. Okay. Then we can receive this evening, which will help us get started on the formal application process and get us moving ahead for next month. So I'll entertain a motion for this application, which is 21-27.
I'll make a motion that we receive application 2127 for receipt.
Okay.
I second.
All right, Lee seconds. So the discussion, I'm just going to read Joe's chat. He was going to ask about the average height of the 12 trees. But I think that will be something, Mr. Long, that you can also note for next month. All right, so all in favor of receiving this application tonight? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Nod vigorously.
Aye.
All right.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, and we'll see you next month. And if your arborist can give us information, that would be wonderful.
That would be helpful. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so next is application 21-29, 46B Beach Avenue. And do we have,
Did that go to section 13 or is that still an agenda item?
we received it last month. No, it's, I don't think it went to section 13. I looked through the minutes.
No,
No, we asked for some extra information.
Okay, maybe I misread an email. I got confused. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was a different, that was a different application. That is actually back to not being a section 13. So we have someone for the applicant?
If you can hear me,
Yes.
Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, 420 East Main Street in Branford, representing Bernard Lazier. When we presented this last week, we were asked for something from the wetland scientist to provide a construction sequence, list of plants, spacing, that kind of thing, which we did. I did send in to John. I did see it on your website yesterday or Friday, I think it was. So it was on there. I think Matt Davison is on here, although I can't see anyone else, but he said he was going to be on here in case there was any other questions. But there are a list of, shrubs to be planted. We did note the areas on the plan for the restoration and for the planting buffer. And so here we are.
Matt Davison is on, Jim. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. So thank you for providing the extra information. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look through the updated site plan with construction sequence and then the upland wetland plant restoration plantings document. Are there questions? I will just say I appreciate that there are, it looks like, mostly native, not all native, I don't know about the dogwood species on the planting list, which is great. And the dogwood is great if it's not native, since there's an invasive species wiping out the native ones. So question.
I'd have to let Matt answer that one.
No, well, it's all good. The mix, at least, from it looks like you've got the wildflower mix, you've got winterberry, and this is all at the border, as I understand it, correct?
That is correct. There was a restoration area where they had gone into, to remove the debris into the wetlands a little bit. And then on the northern side, we're creating a new, where that garden is going to be, we are creating a new, like 10-foot wide buffer there.
Right.
Along that whole edge. So.
Right. And that will be a no-mow zone.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. So, any of the commission members, any comments on the additional?
I just have a curiosity question. Right, there's nothing really to do with what we're doing. Is there a house on this property?
Yes, there
It's
is.
just not reflected?
Yes, there is. We didn't do a complete survey, but it is. Oh, it's about another 100 feet up from where that wetland regulated area is, to the left on the north on the plan.
Okay, all right. That answers my question. I just looked at it and I didn't see a house on the property, so it's just left off then.
Yeah, we just did a partial survey just to deal with the
All right.
injunction.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments for the applicant?
Nope.
No? Okay, so we received this last month. We can decide on it this month if someone would like to make a motion.
I move we approve application 21-29 46B Beach Avenue.
I'll second it.
Okay. Last chance for comments or questions. All right, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
folks.
Thank you for going the extra step for us.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you for your time.
Okay, so now we are on to, sorry, I gotta pull up my agenda. Oh, aha. Application 21-30 Wildwood Drive. And this is an application we received last month. We had questions. They've submitted some extra documentation. Is the applicant here?
Jim, are you here and wanting to speak to the commission?
I'm sorry, Jim is not in this meeting, right? I think he had another meeting he had to be at
Okay.
same time.
Is this Nick?
Yeah, this is Nick.
Oh, okay, Nick. I'm happy to provide an update to the commission. The applicant, the property owner is not with us this evening, assuming that the item would be tabled to the December meeting. But just to introduce myself, I'm Erin Mannix. I'm the new town planner. This is a simultaneous application to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 3-lot subdivision on Wildwood. I know the applicant gave you some overview at the last meeting. Upon review from staff, I did send a report to the applicant of some outstanding items that needed to be addressed and some recommendations. One of which namely was identification of the soil scientist who flagged the inland wetlands and to identify them on the record subdivision map. Another was to explore the possibility of consolidating the driveway access to have shared driveway for the 3 lots as opposed to the 2 separate driveways in an attempt to improve sightlines on sheep pasture. Another major item was to have review by the Madison Health Department to confirm viability of septic systems on all 3 of the parcels. And so some of these, we did have a meeting in the office today identifying and we're making progress, but we're not quite there with a finalized proposed subdivision map and site development map. And so it was my recommendation that rather than trying to piecemeal this approval and have a possibility for 2 separate site plans working here between the agencies, was just to give the time to have that final plan and submit in December the revisions to this commission so that you can make an accurate referral to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So that's where we are.
Okay, well, that sounds great. So I guess we will just move this on, postpone this until December. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be staff's recommendation, and the property owner is aware of that and understanding.
Okay, that's great. Now, do we need to vote on this? Or can we just?
You can absolutely vote to table it, any action to December. Sure. No problem with that.
Yeah, just trying to keep us all above board here. All right, so we'll be above board. Does someone want to make a motion about this application 21-30?
I'll make a motion that application 2130 is tabled to the next meeting.
All right,
I'll second it.
excellent. Okay, I think we've had discussion. Any more discussion? Going? Okay, everyone in favor of tabling this 21-30 until next month? Aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Mine in the frame.
Aye.
All right, that's great. That will be actually much better to have that all together. Thank you. All right, so wow, we are zipping. Our next application is also one that we discussed last month. It is application 21-31, 35 Cottage Road. We also asked for extra information, which the applicant has provided. As you probably have noted, in the intervening time, we've had.
Check.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, I clicked something. I just randomly clicked anything.
Don't touch it.
Okay, as you were.
Great.
I clicked off my MacBook Air and now I'm good.
Okay. All right. So there has been, in the intervening month, there has been a significant interest from neighbors in this project, which we generally do when there's a lot of interest, is we often will offer to have a public hearing in order to let people comment on a project, especially, I guess, these bigger projects that that are generating interest in the neighborhood. So,
Kayla, just not to interrupt, but I'm happy. I know we didn't quite give, and perhaps the entire commission is not aware of the correspondence that was received, and I'm happy to kind of give a little overview if that is helpful before
yes.
We get started here. So yes, and you were all in attendance at the last Inland Wetlands Agency meeting, and I was not, so I apologize for that. However, as Kayla had indicated, since that meeting, the Land Use Office has received multiple forms of correspondence, whether they were written letters submitted into the office or via email. And as the commission is aware, in your regulations, section 9.2, I believe, is in the event of when the commission can hold a public hearing on an application. There are 3 separate items. The first would be, and I'm sort of paraphrasing here, but the first would be if you've received a petition of 25 signatures of individuals, residents 18 years of or older, within 14 days of receipt of an application. The second would be when the agency feels a potential significant impact on the inland wetlands or water courses could be resulted from this application, or the regulated activity, excuse me. And the third would be in public interest. And so at this point, staff wanted to bring to your attention the fact that we have received multiple letters. Some of the letters range in concerns. Some are specifically related to planning and zoning type issues that are not within the purview of this commission. However, there have been other letters that reference inland wetlands and potential impacts and are requesting a public hearing. So this information for your reference has been attached into the documents for this meeting under correspondence at the end of our agenda. Should the commission wish, after discussion, wish to hold a public hearing on this application, those items and those materials will be submitted for the record. However, should you just not wish to hold a public hearing on the application, then you may review, and you can review the correspondence at any time, but you would listen to that as solely correspondence to the commission and not actual submitted information on the application as part of the record. So I think that hopefully brings you up to speed on where we are, and letting you know that, yeah, now we have received some correspondence. I don't know if you're interested in hearing specifically the correspondence. We have a number of them. They're in our records. I don't know that it's worth reading through all of them in detail at this point. However, I think this is where the commission can make that determination if you feel there is public interest and a need for or a desire for a public hearing.
Well, are people submitting correspondence with the hopes that their letters get into the record?
I think there's a mix. There are individuals who have clearly addressed the commission in their letters expressing concern, as I indicated, for a multitude of concerns, both inland wetlands, under inland wetlands purview, and planning and zoning. And there are others who are requesting to have a public hearing to be able to have that opportunity to present this information to the commission.
So last month we heard extensive descriptions of the project. So none of us asked anything beyond wetlands. Are people, and I don't know anything about the development, is anything related to affordable housing that has people concerned that aren't related to wetlands? Or is this a straight up apartment building, no affordable?
This application, as far as what it is proposed, it will be an application to the Planning and Zoning Commission under Section 8-30G, which is an affordable housing appeal process.
So that's probably the reason why people are trying to throw something against our wall, seeing if it sticks when it has nothing to do with us. Would you agree?
I think that's up to the commission to read through that correspondence.
Aaron,
I can say that.
Aaron,
yes.
I have a question. I looked on the correspondence link and there's like 20 letters there. They're all associated with this project?
Yes.
Okay, so I started to read through a couple of them, but you know, the first couple I read through seemed to have sewerage and runoff issues. So I think, Joe, to answer your question, until we read these letters, I don't know if we can really, you know, understand whether it has to do with just the affordable, which, you know,
I agree.
Which is outside of our purview versus, you know, how much is wetlands. I think what they're suggesting, we're going to table this till next month or not? I'm sorry, I forgot where we were with this.
So the idea is that if we feel that we want to take the time to read through the correspondence and hold a public hearing, then yes, we would see if the applicant was agreeable. We're within the time, I think, and then we would do that, because otherwise, you know, I don't think we want to sit here and read through all of those. I have seen some, and yes, Joe, a lot of them actually do concern with sewage and runoff and wetlands issues, as well as planning and zoning. And you know, the zoning issue is completely not under our purview. But I think what Aaron is saying is, if we feel that there's strong enough public interest under our regulations, we can have a public hearing to let the neighborhood have a chance to express, you know, their thoughts on this.
But I think this is going to Planning and Zoning Commission anyway, and it's going to be a public hearing. I don't think any of us heard any concerns about sewer runoff. It sounded like there was a lot of detail with the engineer's plans, and I didn't come away from last month thinking there was a lot of concerns.
Well, we did ask, if you look through the minutes, we did ask them, and I asked very detailed questions about this, you know, the way the sewer is set, the septic, the wastewater treatment system is set up.
Yep.
And I asked pretty detailed questions about the stormwater management basin thing right next to the wetland. So there were, we definitely talked about that, and we definitely asked for more information, which they have since provided. So
Okay.
I would say there wasn't any interest. It's a big project on not a big space. But, I think, this is for us to discuss. So,
Well, go ahead, sorry.
no, go. So you guys should.
Isn't part of the public hearing process, though, is that once the applicant hears what the concerns are, have the opportunity to maybe explain why those shouldn't be concerns? I think there's value in having a public hearing myself, just to exchange information between the people that are concerned and the applicant, and how the applicant's going to deal with their issues. So.
Okay.
Because I assume the letters are public.
We have done that in the past.
The letters are public, right? So that the applicant has access to the letters that we have access to. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all public.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dave.
No, that's all right. I was just noting that we have done this in the past when there was enough interest, as there is in this project,
I'm scanning through it and I get a strong feeling we should have a public hearing. And I understand what Joe's saying, because, we don't want to make this a circus about affordable housing. But on the other hand, until we have the public hearing, I'm not sure we're seeing all the different concerns with regards to the wetlands and the runoff. And that's just my opinion now. Obviously I could be wrong here, but, having promoted myself some public housing in different places and worked with the town of Westbrook on a project that we did, I understand how heated it gets sometimes, but, I just think that there's certain things that will not be coming before the town on different issues, because of, the public housing regs throw back to the state regs and exempt the applicant from a lot of the normal zoning and other issues. So really only health and wetlands are, the issues that will come up. So
Health and safety.
Safety. But I
Yeah.
think, I'm looking at, there's 20 letters here. I don't know how we get out without doing a public hearing. Even, sometimes, people try and drag in other issues, and obviously, Keola is very good at, making sure they understand it's just wetland issues that we got to deal with. But it is a tight spot, and I agree with Keola on that. And there is wetlands and runoff, and I would think there's some septic issues there too. But, and they did a pretty good job actually presenting it. So I just think there's enough there from my perspective, and sorry to run off verbally on this, but I think there's enough there to move it to a public meeting.
Okay. Thank you, John and Dave. Do you have thoughts? I mean, of course, we'll vote on this, but do you want to say anything?
I think it would be severely criticized if we did not have a public hearing.
Okay. Dave?
I agree with that. Yeah. Like I said before, we've had public hearings on lesser projects than this.
Okay. So Joe?
I'm usually the one that likes public hearings, but here I thought Ed did a great job, and the wetland scientist last month did a great job talking about the wetlands. Yes, I think it's 18 apartments there. It is a lot. I do support the public hearing, but I thought the applicants will go in there with great answers to whatever the questions are, especially since the wetland is actually a pond that's from a excavation, and it's not really a wetland.
There's no outflow out of it. I walked around the whole thing just a couple of days ago, and there's no outflow at all. It's all absorbed into the soils.
But always respect the public. If they want to ask the questions we've already asked, I'm all for it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is, Aaron, that we are in favor of a public hearing. So is this something, I guess we should vote? We vote, we're always voting.
I do recommend that the commission take action, should they wish to move this to a public hearing, and state that the public hearing would be at your next meeting in December, which is that the 6th? I apologize. So
Yes, I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah, because it's November 30th is a Monday.
Yes, December.
I'll make a motion that we move application 2132 to a public hearing for our next meeting on December. You say it was the 6th?
Yeah, but it's 21-31.
20-31?
21
I'm sorry,
31.
21-31. I'm sorry.
I second.
I'll second. Okay.
All right.
Joe seconds.
Is there any discussion? Is this okay? Do we need to check in with the applicant before we do this?
Provided the applicant is available to attend, but it is at the discretion of the commission.
Okay. All right.
Attorney Shansky is here on behalf. I know we're in the middle of the motion. If you,
But that's okay. We have the motion. We have the second. We can discuss and then we vote. So, Ms. Shansky, did you want to say anything?
are you?
Not in the middle of your motion, but thank you for asking.
I am assuming that our applicant will make themselves available for the December meeting.
I have no doubt. Okay, all in favor of this motion to move this to a public hearing next month?
Aye.
Hands?
Aye.
Even Joe, great. Okay. So thank you. I know on the chat we have, it appears to be neighbors, noting that the pond is spring fed and that that is great. And we will definitely get to hear from everyone who wants to speak next month, and we'll read the letters.
And I think this would be an opportunity if Attorney Shansky had wished to address the commission representing the applicant as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mannix. Yes, I am Attorney Marjorie Shansky. I represent 35 Cottage LLC, and my entire team of experts was with me here this evening to pivot wherever the commission would take us. I would like to just observe two things. One, the chat is not part of the public record. This is not a public hearing tonight. Whatever people have chatted about, they can come forward at the next meeting and articulate. And to the one commissioner, this is not public housing. This is affordable housing within the meaning of the 830G statute. Madison currently enjoys 1.69% of affordable housing under the Department of Housing 2020 appeals listing. So we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. All right, and so we move on to our next application, and it's not even 8 o'clock. But I think we have a big agenda next month. So our next application, I will recuse myself. It's 21-32 Workers Road. The applicant is the Madison Land Conservation Trust, and I am a board member. So I'm going to hand this off to Joe, if he's.
Okay, so we're going to go right to 21-32.
Yeah.
I feel like a rookie running back. Did not expect to be called to play. So,
Excuse me, can Zoom host have a minute? I'm just trying to make sure everybody who was from the last one is gone, and I don't know who I'm adding, if there's anyone for this application.
okay. So we're in section 13.
Yeah.
That's easy. Thanks, Kia. That's easy.
Joe,
Yes.
if I may, with KLO's permission, this is on the agenda as a section 13 approval. It's not going to be a section 13 approval. This really is for receipt today, and you'll hear it in December. I just felt that I was uncomfortable, quite frankly, with a section 13. It looked like it was growing to be a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And I think they need to present to the agency exactly what they're doing there. So the agency has a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah,
So-
no, I understand. I have a history with the land trust and parking areas near wetlands and
Okay.
always gone to the commission with those. No favors. So is there a site plan that's going to get popped up for 21-32?
Yeah, there's a sort of a generic site plan at this point. Doesn't have a lot of detail on it. So I think, I'm encouraging the applicant to, bring that up to a little bit more detail for the agency in December.
So do you think this is not complete enough to even warrant a motion to be on the next agenda or to be scheduled to be heard?
No,
Should we
I
not
think-
receive it?
I think there's enough to receive it. Yeah.
Okay, so for the commission, we have 21-32, which is no longer a comfortable section 13 for John for the Madison Land Trust, a 12-car gravel parking area for a trailhead at Lowry Community Woods parking lot. I think we need a motion now to just receive it and make a motion to have it on our next agenda for November 6th.
December 6th.
Sorry, December 6th.
So moved.
Thanks, Dave. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, John. So we have 21-32 as being received to be on the December agenda for the Madison Land Trust to present a 12-car gravel parking area near this Lowry Community Woods parking lot. Let's all vote if we don't have a discussion. All in favor?
I vote.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, sounds like the Madison Land Conservation Trust will be on our December agenda.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
I think I just got 4 yards up the middle. Thanks, Kia.
Thank you. Yes, I didn't know until right before the meeting that this had switched from a section 13, which would have been fine, to an application where I definitely cannot be a part of it. Nice job. Okay, so
Thank you.
that takes care of all of our applications. So now we move on to enforcement, and I see we have Mr. Klein for
Hi.
65 Green Hill Road, and to continue our discussion and follow up from September.
Thank you. Is it possible to also allow Tom Cragen from Madison Earth Care? They're going to be doing the work and he represents that company. And I believe he is should be in the waiting room. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. Okay, so I will let you guys update us on what's happened since.
Since we left, based on the agency's recommendation, I hired Richard Snarsky to come out to my property and evaluate the situation. He came up with a list of recommendations, and then since I want to button up the whole project, my backyard has looked like that for over a year now. I went ahead and asked him to look at the entire project to see if I could just finish everything. And so the letter is written to the Inland Wetlands Commission on October 1st from Richard Snarsky, highlights all of his recommendations for everything that's going to be done to protect the wetland, along with the trees that were taken down. And so I hope that you guys received everything that was sent over to John, along with the, I'm just pulling it up, along with the outline of the work specifically written by Tom. Tom's not here anymore, is he? He just disappeared.
He just disappeared.
Well, anyways, I can try and talk us through it. as much as, or as little as I know. And so it's a wetland restoration plus additional work. And so if you go through it, it really breaks down everything that Madison Earth Care is going to be doing pending approval from you guys to restore the wetland, add those trees in, re-add the winterberry and add the sediment fence and level out the lawn, which they said would not have an impact, that Rich Snarsky said would not have an impact on the slope of it, wouldn't be an impact on the wetland that was near it. Tom, you there? I'm speaking a language I don't understand. Yeah, okay. I'm so glad you're here because I'm speaking a language I don't understand and probably not doing a good job. So
Awesome. Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, so basically with what we left off is we were asked to reach out to Rich Snarsky and have him take a look at what to plant in those into the remediation area or zone. And so he mentioned we can put in.
He's gone again.
It's gone again.
That's the 5 red maple, 5 sugar maple. I'm just reading, guys. You guys have all this.
4 to 5 feet in height.
Yes, sir. And then along the back area, the north side of my backyard where the wetland boundary is. Tom, you're back?
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Tom's on a
Okay.
hot spot. His internet's not working, so he's fighting to be a part of this right now.
Apologize for that, guys. So yeah, last we mentioned he was saying we need to put in 5 sugar maple and 5 red maple to build back up that canopy. Within there, Alex did meet with him in person, but what he mentioned to me was that Rich mentioned we can remove the stumps that were left by the trees that were cut down and also remove those logs. So within the estimate that I sent over to you guys, I kind of had that broken out into the wetland restoration section of the project. And I wish I had my computer because I had a slide up that I wanted to kind of show you guys with an aerial view of the map. But that is, if you're at Alex's driveway looking all the way towards the back wood line, left side of his property, there's an area that was cleared. So those 10 total trees, that would be part of that remediation plan. And then we would also do additional work on that site to finish off the project too, which I can get into, but want to see if you guys wanted to talk more about what's in that wetland restoration section.
Are there any
Within that area too, just so you guys know, with the stumps that we would be taking out, like listed out in the estimate, we would be bringing in 18 yards of clean topsoil to just fill in those holes, no additional regrading in that space. And then we also will put down wood chips, natural wood chips, just to help suppress weed growth and also help kill off some of those invasives that can come through.
It's not in here, but when I was there, Rich said that it is 50 feet from the wetland, and so he was not terribly concerned. He said all those trees were actually, he paced it out. He said it was not an awful situation. He said I can go in there, the machines were fine to go get those logs out of there. And so he said it's not in his letter, but he said you can go in and get the logs. The log pile is fine to go take care of it, get the stumps out, and just put those winterberry in to prevent other growth. Was Rich's suggestion.
Okay. Okay, so we were just looking at the wetland restoration and what Rich Snarsky said. Are there questions,
So
comments
sorry.
from the commission on that? No, and we can move to the rest because obviously this is all, but
I
just,
thought it was connected. I apologize.
oh, no, I think
Yeah.
because you're doing all of this work there, we should definitely look at it, but we can start with the restoration part. Are there questions or comments from commission members?
I have a question, if you don't mind, for John. John, have you looked through this, obviously? What's your opinion and, in terms of the plan, and, do you have any concerns or questions at this point?
No, I think they've done a credible restoration plan, as much as they can do, given what was taken out of there. I mean, I think it's realistic. It's going to take, these trees are, I think Joe pointed out, 4 or 5 feet, probably max, and the ones that were out there were quite larger than that. So, but it's a beginning to restore the wetlands and bring that back a little bit. So I think it's a credible plan. I know Rich.
It seems pretty comprehensive to me. I don't see any map and layout. So as long as you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. The only question I would have is, what if the trees don't take? Should there be a maintenance provision in this, or is that overkill?
No, no. That was going to be my question, because typically what we do, or what we have done in the past, when we have restoration, especially I guess after enforcement, but regardless, we often are asking for a maintenance plan, a review plan, a monitoring plan, something to make sure that the trees that are planted survive, and that there's a plan in place that if they, if I can't remember our survival rate, if it's 75%, but generally we have specified in the past that there should be a survival, so let's say 75% survival of the planted trees, and that they should be monitored at least a year out to assess what's happened, and oftentimes longer, just to make sure that the restoration is progressing. And then generally what we've had is, our wetland enforcement officer, kind of put that on his list and follow up with that over the years.
I'm happy to do it.
If I could add to that, Kayla, typically we use 80%, and we've extended it to 5 years.
Okay.
First year, yes, and then subsequent, we should get the wetlands officer should get a report. And go out there and actually take a look at it and see what the survival rate is. But typically we shoot for the last couple that we've done was we shot for 80% survival.
Okay.
So
Great.
do we need a letter for the file, John, or how does that, how do they formalize a plan, I guess is my question.
Yeah, they would have to submit a written maintenance plan. Yeah, so we have something in the record.
Can I just drop that off to the town? I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Well, I would have Tom, do it. He's an arborist.
Tom, is that okay with you to add to our work?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that's definitely something that I would have brought up with the this restoration. And I guess the other thing we often ask people to do is it's hard because it's a disturbed area now, and even with wood chips, you're undoubtedly going to see invasive species. But hopefully, with the winterberry planted, it'll be okay. But we do, try and be on top of invasives as much as you can, because I don't think you want a backyard full of whatever Japanese knotweed and all kinds of things that aren't super great.
Tom, isn't that part of why we're planting the the arborvitae back there to take up some of that space too?
So yeah, I mean, I can get into that a little bit too. The arborvitae, they wouldn't be within the wetland or part of the remediation, I would say. We were looking at as just to kind of close off the property and make that a spot that's never going to be touched again. Let everything grow naturally and refill in that wetland. So the arborvitae, also in that estimate, we were looking to plant 19 6 to 7 foot green giant arborvitae. They are very fast growing conical evergreen tree, typically growing 2 to 3 foot tall each year. Basically, that would be right in front of the existing wood line. on that property. And like I mentioned, I had a map up here that I could have showed you guys, and I could take a screenshot of this and send it over to you guys later if that helps too, just to see an aerial of his property that's nice and clean and kind of the area that was removed and whatnot, where the arbs will go. But that would go in front of, if we were looking at his driveway, connecting to the proposed pool fence that's going to be put in as well, needed to finish that pool project for code. And that will just continue in that straight line in front of the existing wood line. Which is, I believe it was 15 feet or more from when we measured to the closest tree with a wetland marker on it.
Yeah, it says 20 feet off the wetland markers.
Okay. Yep, that sounds about right.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's basically that with the privacy planting. Once again, I mean, we obviously won't be using any fertilizers in that. We'll just be putting those in the ground and then using wood chips again instead of like a dyed mulch or a hardwood bark mulch. Also within plantings, we can kind of move that up a little bit, was the fence install. So MRF fencing is going to be installing the pool fence. Not Madison Earth Care, but once that fence is installed, there's currently an existing silt fence there. So we're going to reinstall that silt fence behind the full privacy vinyl pool fence that's going along the back property line and basically where the wetland area is. And then behind that wall, we'll also be planting the inkberry that Alex has already purchased to kind of help continue remediating that wetland. So that's where the winterberry would be going. And then, just the sugar maples and red maple would be put into the area where it was the main area where all those trees were cut out to remediate the wetlands.
Okay. Okay. So that takes us through, what is the farm wall removal?
Yes.
Sorry, Tom.
So the farm wall off of Alex's driveway, there's an existing farm wall that is there. It's starting to fall down. It's covered in a bunch of invasives and weeds. So our goal would be there to take down the farm wall, take out all of the invasives, and then we would be turning that section into lawn.
And that is also within the regulated activity area.
Correct. Yep.
Not all of it, Tom. Some of it, because Rich pasted out. It's like right on the edge part of it. It's like there's a piece of it that's on the inside, and then there's a piece of it that's on the outside.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, on here it says that it's roughly 50 feet off the wetland markers. That some of these small trees are roughly 50 feet off the wetland markers.
I'm just telling you, I really don't know. I'm just telling you what Rich was telling me when he was there.
So
That was all verbal.
I think probably it would be helpful to see a map then with, given the work that's going on, just to make sure that we understand what's happening within the regulated activity area and what is not happening within the regulated activity area. So that could be, and Tom, I guess you said you have a map like that, not right this second, but you could give to us.
Yeah, I can get something to you guys.
Tom, do you want to text it to me and I can share it on my computer right now so they can see it?
Let me see what I can do. Yeah. I mean, right now, this is just more or less an aerial view of your house, but let me send
Is it like
that over.
Google Earth? Because I can.
Much clearer than Google Earth, but yeah. Here.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I can get it up on my computer screen for them to see.
Okay.
While that's happening, are there any other questions from the commission members on different aspects of this project?
So just so I can get a kind of a bearing, after we last saw Alex, the night my computers were rebelling against me. I did go to the property, went down the driveway. I think I looked northwest where the clearing was. Is
Yep.
that all wetland area?
No, that's wetland review area.
Okay, so no trees were taken down within the wetlands.
I don't
Correct.
know, John. I would ask John to like. Rich didn't say that there were, but I think they were like right on the fringe where the winterberry is going to be planted. I think there were some back there, but Rich. It was interesting having Rich there. He said he felt like I was more okay than I wasn't. But you know, he said you're actually not in. What he had said to me was I'm not in bad shape. You know, and so that was. You know, I thought those, you know, the canopy I took down was a big deal. And, you know, so that's, but even he said that was, I don't know. It's hard to,
Yep.
I mean, that's really it's like as clear as I think I can be. The winterberry, I think being planted along the back, I think is really important. And I think there were some little trees there that I think, but I don't know if they were in the wetland. They were certainly in the review area. I don't know if there was any.
But that is all your property?
Oh yeah, all
Okay,
of it. I have
they didn't go off.
1.98 acres over there.
Okay. I just find it hard to I find it hard to believe a contractor would feel like after they cut the contracted trees they would keep going, but as long as they didn't go into the wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, it's
good.
a Tree Tactics who I worked with I have a big issue with, and so that's I guess you guys don't need to know about that. So I'll stop.
No. It's just weird that they had time, so they kept going.
So, John DeLaura, did you have something to comment or contribute?
Well, I mean, I went out there and Rich, first of all, you know, I'm only gonna really pay attention to what Rich Snarsky has written. You know, I appreciate Alex's testimony, but as far as I'm concerned, as the wetland officer, that's hearsay. And when I was out there, I looked at the blue flag. Some of those trees were either, you know, especially in that northwest corner where Joe was observing, it looked to me like a couple of those trees could very well have been in the wetland. I can't be for sure because I'm not an arborist and I didn't see, but when I followed the blue markings all the way down, some of those, and I probably took 15 or 20 photographs. Some of those stumps were, you know, half in and half out across where the blue line is, where the blue tape was. So,
yeah, I really don't know. I just know what Rich was sharing with me, and I've no desire to be anything other than straight and clear. I don't know is my answer. Rich just said wasn't terrible, was what he had said.
Yeah.
I said, Rich, I'm in a terrible situation. Can you come help me? And he said, it's not terrible.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rich is a realist.
So,
sounds like my doctor.
yeah. All right. So we have the wetland restoration, and Rich has nicely detailed what he has there. So I am going to assume that is, it seems to be reflected in Madison Earth Care's wetland restoration plan as well. So I'm going to assume that will all be done. And so I guess what I'm asking the commission members, if there's any other questions about, because you know, a lot of this is within the regulated activity area. We have the silt fence plantings and the farm wall removal and the seeding the lawn. So, and I don't know, did we lose Tom again?
He's fighting to stay in there. The picture hasn't come through yet.
Okay, because I think what will be helpful to continue at least with, for instance, the farm wall removal is to have a map that shows what activity you're doing that is within the regulated activity area.
Yeah, the farm wall's the furthest thing away from the wetland. Literally, it's like
Yes, but it's still within the regulated activity area. Some of it is what, at least that's what it says on the document that we have today. And anything within that regulated activity area.
I just want to see if I can grab. I really want to. I can't. Having my yard like this, I can't get an electric fence. My dog is running around outside. Let me see if I can grab it and show you. I really want to button it up. It's a bit of
Well,
a nightmare.
it's not to say, I mean, some of this restoration can get, the wetland restoration, we can talk about it, but, I think we can, move forward on some of this, but it would be helpful to see what is happening within the 100-foot review line.
Yeah, I totally understand. Um, let's see if I can grab it. We lost Tom completely.
So this is Joe, and I know I missed a couple meetings during the summer. Was the swimming pool and a couple trees removed? That was an approved application?
Yes, sorry.
So technically, we're kind of hearing an amendment to that application without an application, correct, Kia?
Well, yes, I don't think the farm wall removal was on that original application.
No, it was not.
And that's what I'm saying is that this document from Madison Earth Care has, in addition to the restoration, it has extra things that we have not seen before. And so I think, but you guys can think and decide. I think it would be helpful to see how, what is happening within the 100-foot review line.
So did my screen share? Did it work?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's this patch right here. So the pool's now over here. I took down these trees in here, and this, I believe, is like the wetland area. That's a tagged wetland area over in here. So these trees are gone. This is that, like, it was a garden bed and all this other stuff. Now it's overgrown. And so I was going to take this, I own kind of, if you come through here, down this like line right here, I own all that. And so they were going to dig this out and make that lawn. And so these I took down, and this is where I did damage. And then this I was going to turn into lawn while they were there doing the work. I wasn't going to do that for a while, but since they were setting up to do shop, I just said, can you guys do this while you're there? And they said, sure. And they, like the good contractors they are, they said, we need wetlands approval to do that, unlike my arborist. So that's, I know it's not a great image, but that's.
Okay, so, well, does someone else want to ask questions? So I'm not taking up all the airspace. I guess what I'll say is this is helpful, but it doesn't have the pool, and it, you're giving us approximates. And I understand, I completely understand that you want to move forward. But it's hard. I am having a hard time, seeing where this, how much of the wall is going to be removed with respect to where it is within the wetland, the flagged, the wetland review area.
I think Tom's getting that picture. He's texting me. He's trying to get back on. He said, hey, I just got back on my phone. He's having technical difficulties. I really want you guys to be able to see that picture. I think.
Gail, Lola, are your concerns that without a map, it's hard to tell what the impact's going to be to the wetland, or are your concerns just for record purposes for our files?
I guess, I think in general, we like to see what we are approving. And for previous applicants, we generally are asking them, we just asked, who did we just ask tonight? One of our applicants.
I understand. That answers my question.
And I know this has been a long time and it'd be good. And I am not trying to be an issue, but we have asked previous applicants to give us this information, because
Right.
If you're taking out wall, and I'm pulling this up on Google Earth so I can see the pool and the the empty area, but what I can't see, is the line. And I'm sure it's
Right.
not that much. And I'm not necessarily worried, I guess, except that, we tend to want to see what we're approving.
Right, right.
So as, if I could ask a question,
I'll try to
as the
unshare.
discussions evolve- As the discussions evolve, do we really have like an amendment to the original application and a separate enforcement resolution? I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying, Head. That's why I asked the question about to John, because, I just, without having a map and where everything is, and I'm trying to be sensitive to cost, but, it seems like the walls within the uplands area, correct?
I don't even know what that
But-
means. Sorry. I think I got the map. Maybe I can show it to you. I think the
Okay,
map,
that'd be great.
of course. I just, okay.
And where I was kind of going with this is if maybe there's a section 13 application just for the wall area and then a, separate
Right.
resolution here that we can vote on tonight on the application for the, well, not really application, but the, the restoration. and
And I totally
mitigation
agree.
for-
Yeah.
No, it's a
Maybe
good
this
point.
is-
I missed that, Gila. Good
Oh,
catch.
sorry. I think my internet is terrible. But I agree. I think that, maybe, we really were looking, what we have on the agenda is this enforcement issue and this wetland restoration. Maybe we, kind of okay that and maybe John DeLora picks up on this extra activity as the section 13. But I see we have a different map.
Maps also doesn't include the pool, but this is the area that was impacted, and it's just this rock wall right here. It's that area. That's it. And so the pool is here. This is the impacted area, and so it's this area right here. So this is where I did damage, the big green.
But we don't know how far the rock wall is from the wetlands.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, Rich would say that some of it is in, the other part's probably like 90 feet. It's certainly on the fringe. There's no, but I understand what you
Yeah.
guys are saying, so I understand.
It's hard to tell. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, because the wetland is over here. It's like in this area over here, and this is, these are the trees I took down. So these are definitely like.
So John, is that something you feel comfortable separating and just looking at the walls of section 13, or should we? I don't know. I guess I'm looking for the best and simplest and most expeditious way to, that we
No,
actually
Bob, I
fulfill our
think-
responsibility.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I'm comfortable with that. I want to be sure I know where that wetland line is because I'm a little confused. That light green area is not the only, there are a lot of trees taken along, if you follow that northeast, that green.
You're talking here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
there's a lot more trees that were taken out of there.
Yeah, and then
also,
this was
so
taken down too over
I
here.
just don't want the agency to think that was the only area that was affected in the wetlands.
He was just
So-
highlighting the
So
canopy.
I think basically, if I may, Alex,
Sorry.
thank you. I think if to the agency's point, I think a little plan that I'm sure Tom could do, this is something that could be submitted to me or, to staff to review. For that matter, we could forward it to the agency and see if how you feel about that. But I agree with Bob that I think it could be done in two separate things. You could just deal with the restoration today, and then have Alex come back with a application to do whatever he wants to do with the wall, because I'm sure a good part of it's in the 100-foot area. And then and I could do that as a section 13. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go with it.
So
Okay.
leave the wall out of the plan and then we'll talk about everything else. Is that just so because I'll communicate it back to Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and I think, and I think our main comment on the restoration is, including, and this is something for Tom to write up, is the, monitoring plan, 80% survival of the vegetation planted, the restored vegetation, monitored over 5 years with reports to the wetland enforcement officer.
I'm just writing it down. So is that to John? You're the officer, right, John? You're at the officer.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I'll submit them to you. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I think this isn't actually, I mean, doesn't actually have a number. So I don't think this has an application number, no.
Oh, but what we're doing is we're accepting his plan to restore what
Right.
he's doing.
Right.
And that's a unique piece.
Right.
I think we should approve that and let him move on and deal with the wall later.
Yeah.
So in that line, I'll make a motion, we accept the presented restoration plan for the area that was damaged and separate that from the wall thing and put that into a section 13. Yeah, John.
I would just add the rest of the maintenance.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes, I meant to say that. And that we would request a maintenance plan that would be submitted to John. If you got that, I'm not sure you got that.
Can I ask for clarity on one thing?
Who's that?
This is Alex.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So that means, like, if I'm just going off of John's letter, I'm going to be doing the 5 maple, 5 sugar maple, the 75 feet of winterberry along the north side of my yard, the 19 arborvitae, the sediment fence, which is the privacy fence, the soil, the reseeding, the stump grinding, and then number 7, the existing stone wall, I'm not going to touch until John DeLora looks at it and gives me a green light or not. Is that just for my own?
As a section 13. I assume all those things you just recited were what was in the restoration plan. I couldn't keep track.
Sorry, I just went through Rich's letter. Yeah, that's also,
okay.
It's the restoration plan also includes the wall. I'm just highlighting that everything else is okay but the wall.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I actually,
and adding the maintenance plan after.
And adding the maintenance plan. Apologies. Yes, that too.
Right. I'm not sure Rich's plan, did he have the arborvitae? I don't think he had that in the wetland restoration. I think that was Madison Earth Care. Is that right? That's separate.
I think that was in both.
Okay. Well,
no, it's in Rich's letter too.
Okay. Okay. So Dave has made a motion. Would someone like to second the motion?
I'll still second it.
Okay.
But John will second it too.
Okay. And so we've had some discussion. We've had clarification on this. Is there any more discussion or clarification you'd like to make?
I would just like to apologize for the action that I took on my yard. I'm sorry to the town and to you guys. I apologize. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
We appreciate that, you're working with us to make it
Apology accepted.
I am. It's a bad move, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right. So all in favor of the wetland restoration plan?
Aye.
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 All right. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Klein. And I'm sure you'll be in contact with John DeLora, and we'll look forward to seeing your pretty yard.
You guys are all invited over. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Take care.
Care.
Oh, so we have our Coastal Resilience Committee. Maria, are they in the waiting room?
Who is it that I'm looking for?
Walter,
Walter is here.
and there's
Walter is here. There he is.
Graham, maybe?
Yep. Graham is here as well.
There's one more person.
Hank,
Just-
Hank.
Hank?
And Hank is here, Hank McGuire, yes.
Kayla,
Yes.
just a matter of procedure. I think next on the agenda is the receiving 21-33 Randy Drive, unless we've made a motion to go out of order.
Oh, do I not have the right agenda? on?
Doesn't
I don't-
show, it
I
doesn't,
don't have it either.
we wouldn't be here. It doesn't show on the agenda. We're ready to roll.
So your agenda doesn't show 21-33 Randy Drive?
It
No.
was updated. We had a receipt come in on Friday afternoon. So technically, this is the receipt meeting for that application. However, the applicant's not here to do any presentation, but just for your records, this is a pending application that will be before you in December.
Okay. Did anybody else see that?
I don't have it.
Okay. So,
I don't have it as well.
I
okay,
don't, nor do I.
okay.
It's
Okay.
online.
So, yeah, so we probably should have gotten that to you today as a final updated agenda. I apologize for that. It was a last receipt on Friday before the shortened day ended. So I'm happy to read it to you if you don't have it before you. It's number 2133 is the application. It's Randy Drive, map 73, lot 6538. It's a
I don't have it
vacant
on mine either.
parcel. The owner is Jody Raccio, small, and the applicant is Jacobs Escape LLC. This is a receipt for a regulated activity to construct a new single-family dwelling, driveway, septic system, and associated site improvements within the 100-foot upland review area. And the documents are available online as well if you want to take a look at those before the next meeting. But the applicant and his engineer, Joe Wren, are prepared to come to the next meeting to discuss
So,
with you.
Okay. I mean, so you would like us to receive this even though most of us haven't had a chance to look at it?
Well, you don't really have a choice. The statutes require that if an application is received in the office, its official receipt date is the next regularly scheduled meeting, if it is 24 hours prior to that meeting date. So whether you decide to accept something or not, it's officially received regardless per statute. So I'm not sure if that's a formality that the commission has been doing, and as far as deadlines and things, which may have been a convenience in the office as far as receiving applications. But technically, according to the statutes, the application is received today at your regularly scheduled meeting.
It's
makes
my
sense.
experience that with regards to wetland commissions, and I don't have the regulations in front of me, the application has to be in either 3 or sometimes 5 business days prior to the meeting to be received.
That may be
think-
on your calendar for the commission. However, the statutes would trump that. Policy that you have in the office, I guess.
Well, I suppose then, I guess we are still within, I mean, we may have lots of questions. I mean, I think what we've done in the past is if the applicant's not here to explain this and we don't convey to them any concerns we have about it, it makes for the next meeting harder to have a clean vote on that, I guess, is what
Then-
we have.
Which the commission has 65 days to act on an application.
Exactly.
So
Be aware then, since this is so late, that fine if it's received, but we may not act on it at the next meeting.
So I'll make a motion that we receive it and continue without opening. Or
there's
Actually,
no
I
public
feel-
hearing to open, Joe.
no, I actually feel uncomfortable receiving it, so I'll withdraw what I was about to fumble through.
Well, it sounds like we don't actually have to formally receive it if it's technically already received. Is that right?
It's
Not by
automatic,
us.
right? That's the way that the statutes work.
Well, we have been for the last couple decades, I guess, formally received.
I'm happy to provide you with some of that information, you know, as far as the legal end of it. I mean, it's not, but
That's
there is, you know, you do have the, you know, the 14 days following receipt that you cannot act on an application. So there's that protection also built into the statutes. But yeah, I mean, it gets into an issue sometimes as far as just maintaining that statutory deadline, that 65 days. So if the
Okay,
commission
I think
tries to refuse, I mean, I'm not saying it's come up, but if we're,
I think how, and it's fine, and we can move on, but I think how this has worked in the past is when the applicant's here and we have a chance to look at the application before the meeting, we give lots of information so that when they come back for the next time, they have addressed concerns. But you're right, we have 65 days. It'll just mean, I think, for a lot of our more regular applicants, engineers, that they may need to adjust their thinking if they turn in something so late that we can't see it and we don't feel comfortable talking about it until the next meeting, then it's going to be pushed off for another meeting. And I think people will just have to build that in if they choose to turn in something so late.
I think that's completely reasonable.
Yes, no, I know, but I think it'll be a mind shift. It'll be a shift for some of our more regular contractors and, you know, some of the people we see regularly. That's
In the
all.
past, did we start the 65-day clock when we actually voted to receive it?
Is that right?
Is that how we did it?
Probably. John's shaking his head. I would assume.
It would start, if today's the date of receipt, then that's when the clock starts.
I know, but in the past, if you got one like the day before our meeting, would you not put it on the agenda, or is that just something?
Well, that would be, like, for instance, this application, you've got nothing to hear today. It's the date of receipt. So this date is the date of receipt of that application. Next month, you can talk about that. You still have 65 days. You know, if you wanted to table it because you didn't have enough information, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but you could put this off to the January meeting to finish it. So in essence, it's sort of the same thing, only you're.
But I thought Aaron was saying that the date of receipt was last Friday.
No, that was when it was received in
submittal.
the office, submitted. So submission to the office. The way that the statute reads is that the official receipt date is the next regularly scheduled meeting 24 hours prior, following the date of submittal to the land use.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry.
So Friday was 24 hours prior to today's regularly scheduled meeting.
Yeah, sorry.
It's kind of irrelevant, because if we get to see it between now and the next meeting and it's insufficient, then we can continue it and request more information from the applicant.
Right.
So, you know, it's really irrelevant.
It kind of is, yeah.
It is. I think it'll just be, and I think it'll only come up when we have something so late in the game, if people turn this in so late in the game. Like,
maybe they'll start to learn not to drop things off at the 11th hour. and they'll self-adjust.
Well, that's right, because now it's going to be 2 months before we can act on it.
Exactly.
Because certainly we're going to have questions next month.
Exactly. I guess that's my point, is that there will be an adjustment, and probably a self-adjustment.
Yeah.
If we have this, hopefully, yes, we will have them earlier. Okay, so I think it's received. I don't think we need to do anything.
No.
So we will move on to the agenda item that I saw originally, and we have the Coastal Resilience Commission visiting us to tell us about their commission and how they can be helpful to us. And so I will let them take over.
Fine.
All right.
Ayla, can you see us? Are you getting videos?
I cannot, but can anybody else see them?
No.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
there's no video then. How about, can I share my screen, Ms. Walter?
Maria, can maybe let you.
You should have that permission, Walter, as a panelist.
Okay, but I don't have any video. There's no video of us. You guys can, because we really look good. I mean,
Yeah.
we look marvelous. I mean, it's not just,
Walter got all dressed up for it.
yeah, I put on a jacket. Am I on?
Yeah, we can hear you, Walter, so be careful.
Oh, yeah, and there's my name. So I look better than the name, but that's fine. We're good. All right. And you got Hank on there? I see Hank.
Yes, I'm there. Just not in.
Here we go. See? There it is. See that I have the fake books behind me? You got the, I mean, I set this up. There's the roll top. I want to make sure you got all this. So we spend a lot of time preparing for this. Okay, good. And there's Hank. All right. And now I'm going to share a screen. We're going to go right to we'll make this fast because Kealoha said we wouldn't be on to maybe 8:15. And when you got to the second to last agenda item at 7:55, I thought we were rolling home fast, but here we are. So here, Hank's going to kick it off. We're not going to take that much of your time. And I'm going to kick on that. Let's see if I can show you the power, if I can share my screen. What do I need to do that one? I should be able to do this.
All right, while you're doing this, I'm going to just start in. Hello, thanks for giving us some of your time. I appreciate it. My name's Hank McGuire. I'm the chairman of the Coastal Resiliency Commission. The purpose of tonight is just to say hello and tell you that we're here, and perhaps we have common interests with some of the issues that you all were dealing with. It was interesting to hear what you're an example of what you guys deal with at each one of your meetings. I'm sure it's always changes, always a little different, but the Board of Selectmen founded or created this this commission at the end of 2019, November, and it was really set up in response to the state of Connecticut and their direction that, you know, we are expected as a state to see a 20-inch rise in sea level by 2050, which is it's a planning number. It may be a little higher, it may be a little lower, but as we can see, just anecdotally by looking around, we are getting, you know, the tides are higher and the flooding is along roads and various properties are becoming more prevalent. You know, we started in 2019, at the end of 2019, we've really been hampered by, as you all have and as others have been, by the COVID-19. And we're looking to, now that we seem like we're starting to come out of it, hopefully we'll have a meeting someday in person, hopefully soon. And we're just looking to outline some of the things we're doing and thinking about and some of the issues we're dealing with and how they might relate to some of the things you're doing, not only relative to just when it says coastal resiliency, it's referencing a coastal town. It's not necessarily referencing only a beach or only the surf club or only Middle Beach Road or only Hammonasset, which it's more a state property, but also what that might mean to rivers and lakes and inlands. New London has a coastal site plan, has a coastal resiliency commission because of the river. Farmington has one because of the Avon has one because of the Farmington River. So with the rise in sea level affects lakes, it affects rivers, it affects the coastline, obviously.
Excuse me, Hank, can you see the screen now?
I can.
Can you guys see the screen now?
Yes.
Good. You know, I teach a class at law school. If it took me 20 minutes to get the screen shared, then I'd be out of a job. So anyway, you got it now, right?
All the students would have left by now, Walter.
Yeah, I tell them I get 10 minutes, but this was longer than 10 minutes. I apologize. All right, Hank, you can see it okay, Hank, right?
Yeah, I can, thanks. So anyway, so the sea level rise is an issue that the state has identified and has encouraged and and directed towns to do something in response to that, as far as some sort of coastal resiliency plan, which we created in 2016, and is already we're going to be updating it as part of our immediate tasks and ones that we've been looking at for a little while. And so that's kind of what we're doing. And I imagine over time, perhaps as the wetlands get wetter, potentially, we might have some common interests in addressing some of these issues. One of the approaches that we have particularly is we're not in the game, or in this game, to talk about how to fix climate change or anything like that. We're playing defense. We know that things are happening today. What can Madison do in response to some of the rising water that we're experiencing? So this is a defensive mode, and that's what our commission is doing. We had initially had 18 people volunteered to be on it. It's now, with some transfers and people leaving town, we're down to 14. We've split it up between, we have a communications group, which Walter heads, and a technical group, which Graham Curtis, who's on the call tonight, he's the lead technical guy we have. And then Woody Weiss has been the lead on our policy side. So there's three, we're a large enough commission to be able to slice and dice like that with the people that we have. We're fortunate that we had so many people involved, and so that's what we're working on. And we thought we'd just bring ourselves to your attention in case you had any interest, or we may be able to help you, or you would be able to give us some suggestions on some of the things you're seeing that we ought to also be looking at. And with that, I'll ask Walter to take us through the next couple of charts.
We're glad to do so. And if, again, COVID has put sort of a slowdown on so many things. This is sort of a reboot or restart for this whole commission. And I think what we thought we should do is go out and talk to people who already think about some of these environmental issues all the time, and tell them what we're thinking of working on and get your feedback on this. So, you saw this, if you look at the slide, we were established in 2019. We really got going in 2020, and then along came COVID. We're looking at, a lot of what the commission has done, and a lot of the concerns about coastal resiliency have been about the shoreline, but this commission has been looking at saying we really should be looking at the whole town, especially, and so that's kind of what we're looking at. If go to the next slide, we are supposed to be under our charge working with Circa, DEEP, the state agencies, and also with town commissions and agencies. So we're going to go out and talk to the Conservation Commission, see what we can do to help them, or they can do to help us. We'll talk to the Planning and Zoning Group and get and look at ways to improve and make the town more resilient. And wetlands become a critical part of that. This is just a sort of a simple graphic we show. It is not, some of our members were quick to point out, a storm surge does not just land on top of higher tide, but this is what we face with sea level rise at the coast, especially with state law mandating considerations of 20 inches by 2050. So the commission is working with this issue as we look to see how we are going to respond to this. And there was a plan which was done back in 2016. So we're really looking at trying to re-update that plan. That's what this Coastal Resiliency Commission is going to do. We had consultants who work with the town to develop a plan, various things we could do. Capital projects were already under consideration. We'll let Graham talk about some of those. And the key word, and part of me, what I'm saying, working on from communication, is how we communicate to other folks and to town residents This word is adaptation. That's the word. You can remember, we all trying to get our members. You guys all understand this. Our members understand what this is, adaptation. And then the keys to adaptation are we're either going to protect, you can build barriers, you can think of Garvin Point, you can accommodate, you can do things to move the surf club or raise it up, or things of that nature, or you can retreat. And the retreat has to do with really, as a wetlands move, and with sea level rise, you're going to have wetlands moving. Some tidal wetlands may move into what was tidal wetlands may move into what has been inland wetlands. So these are all things for us to consider as we go forward. But this idea of adaptation to sea level rise and to climate change through these kinds of things: protection, accommodate, retreat. And these are some of the projects. And why don't, if Graham is here, why don't you talk about some of the infrastructure projects that are under consideration?
Thanks, Walter. So as Walter mentioned, I'm the head of the technical committee. So our task really is to identify projects, and we're looking at like a 20-year plus window. So a lot of these are in the future, but these are some of the ones we've identified. Middle Beach Road, if 20 inches of sea level rise is going to make that very difficult to access. Garner Point and Circle Beach Road, as it continues to rise, those become more and more difficult to access. Green Hill Road extension that was identified in the 2016. Middle Beach Road seawall and the Surf Club seawalls. Again, long range problems. The dunes at Surf Club to protect from oversurge on the rotary. The last two were the ones that are the highest priorities right now. As everyone's probably aware, the intersection of Island Avenue and Middle Beach Road floods more and more frequently. It's probably flooding 3 or 4 times a year now. We used to flood maybe once a year. So that's one of the priorities we're going to be looking at. And the Garvin Point seawall repair, the town got a grant of $750,000. So that's going to move forward. We were talking to the beach and rec people and the town engineer about putting out an RFP and getting that project moving. So that's probably the highest priority one. But many of these are more 20 years. What do you do? Not on the list is the sanitary sewers. It's a major consideration in some of the low-lying areas that the septic systems in town in some of these areas may not function if we do in fact see 20 inches of sea level rise. So we're working with the WPCA to start planning for that. That's a long range window, but it's going to have a major impact on the potential major impact on the community in the next 20 to 30 years.
You had another list, Graham. I think you probably already covered these, or is this?
Yeah, I think these are the main ones. We're constantly evolving a list and setting priorities and budgeting. The thinking was that hope that we can start developing some plans so that when and if some of this grant funding becomes available, we're ready to go and move forward into design.
Yeah, I think that's what Graham alluded to, the funding that was been set aside by the Board of Selectmen for coastal resiliency, and that's a big piece of that amount is for exactly that, applying for grants and further funding from the state as we identify and try and get on track with a number of projects that we need to not only investigate but actually act on relative to the sea level rise that we're seeing.
Yeah, thanks, Hank. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance set up a $500,000 program to draw that money for the potential for engineering costs and some seed money for capital projects. A lot of these grants require some seed money, so that the state statute allows that money to be invested at a higher rate of return. So you can capture some of the potentially it'll grow into a substantial amount of money when and if you need that money in 20, 30 years. Circle Beach Road, we mentioned, that's going to become a problem in the next 20 or 30 years. And how we pay for that is a complex issue that's going to have to be discussed with the town, in funding.
Yeah, so that's just an example of some of the things we're looking at. The good news is from our commission's perspective, we have, Graham will tell me what the right number is, 4 or 5 engineers who do this for a living and they're dealing with coastal towns and issues like this as they're for a living. And now they're not only involved on the commission, but they've already started working with our professional engineers that we have here in town to put that much more thinking and expertise on the things that we have going on, that the town itself is looking at, and then they're having the advantage of having some additional expertise on the engineering side to moving forward with some of these things. So we're in a really good place when it comes to that.
I might,
Go
Hank,
ahead,
I just
Walter.
go to this slide just on, this was our charge again from 2 years ago to really get out and work on resiliency. And we're just starting to do this, a town website. We have a website, which obviously has our original charge, but not much on it, and some links to CRC and our plan. We start to do some more meetings. And this is sort of a test drive for us was, can we meet with you folks? And it's hard to do this after you've been at your long meeting today for an hour and a half. But if you have questions or thoughts for us, you could tell us now. We think, even though this is so much shoreline, we think over time, protecting wetlands will continue to, you already do that as your role in inland wetlands, but it'll continue to be important, I think, for the whole town, because wetlands are so important to really responding to flooding and higher sea level. So if you have thoughts for us as we go forward, we hopefully in 2022 will start to be more public about just educating people on these issues. And I would say, and we do have one of our engineers, this Inland Wetlands Commission should know well, it's Rob Sonicson, who's been on the Inland Wetlands Group for some time, not now, but he knows his way around the construction areas.
Yeah, he's a great asset to our
So
commission. Are there any questions that you all may have?
Well, what do you, so I'll have to check out your website, but I guess, this is great. Thank you for explaining your commission. And I think it's helpful to recognize that your thoughts do go beyond the shoreline, right? This is going to be, we are a shoreline town. Some of the places where I think, we might intersect more directly might be with septic and sanitary sewer systems, certainly down near the water. That's becoming an issue throughout the coastal areas, I think, of New England with sea level rise. And I guess on your website, I haven't looked at it. Are you highlighting your charge and, saying what you do?
Yes, but we haven't done much. There's the original charge, there's a one-page summary, and then a link to the current 2016 plan, and then that's really it. There's a link to the 2016 plan, there's our charge, and we're really not done much yet on education. I think if we start to go forward, we may even share some things with you ahead of time, just so you can take a look at it before we finally post it. If you want to, we could decide, no, that's fine, but we might just say, here, we're looking to just get some feedback. And we'd ask commission members if they have a chance to go ahead and take a look at the town website, Coastal Resiliency Commission, look at the charge. And if you've got thoughts and ideas for us, to just go ahead to give them to us.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally, this would be something where not only do you have questions for tonight, but as Walter just described, on an ongoing basis, if you happen to have an application that might be something that we might be of interest, or you may have a question relative to where you think we are, or where you think we've been focusing, or you take a look at the updated charge that we have, or the updated plan that is about to be kicked off. If that's relevant to some of the topics you all are dealing with, and we'd be more than happy to have an ongoing communication, in whatever form that may take.
And Hank, one other thing we've talked a bit about with the communications group is there's lots of work that other towns and other states have done about educating landowners who have wetlands on their property or abut wetlands, of what they can do without infringing on their use of the land, but to encourage or help protect the wetlands. Some of that may already be done by your agency or already be done in town. We've been thinking about what we do to reach out to people who live right on the wetlands or abut the wetlands or own wetlands. Is there some kind of education we can provide to them about what would be good things to plant and helpful to preserve the wetlands? And maybe you already do a lot of that, or you don't think it's worth doing, but that's something we're thinking about.
Yeah, and that's sort of a longer term thing. Our
Yeah, Kayla,
initial.
what do you think?
I'm
Kayla?
sorry,
Is
go
that-
ahead. I'm
Is that
sorry.
worth it?
Oh, no, we don't, our commission only does that during the course of our meetings when we are talking to applicants about what they should or should not be doing with the wetlands and the review lines in their property. So I
But
think
we've been thinking about that, but we wouldn't go forward with that until we kind of tested it out with you and your commission. Say, here's what we're thinking of putting out in the public domain. Is this helpful? Is this not so good? I'll give you a chance. We're going to do with relying on experts, but that's kind of what we're thinking of doing. We might go to some neighborhood associations that have land that is right up against the wetlands and talk to them not just as individual residents, but as neighbors.
This is Lee. How are you operating? Are you having like monthly meetings or?
Yeah, we meet monthly, yes.
You meet monthly. And those are posted on the town website probably, right? Is that?
Yeah, those are public meetings.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, is there like, is it the first Tuesday of the month or second? I mean, is there a standard time?
Yeah.
Or is it kind of?
Yes. Yeah, it's the, I'm trying to remember, I think it's the second Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be November 10th of this. I think it's November 10th, right? We should make it the second.
Right. So, yeah, but we do meet regularly. They are public meetings. Hopefully sometime soon they'll be in person. In reality, we were referring to wetlands and things are really, so far our focus has really been along the shore. But we're thinking as we mature and become more able as a commission, we would also be looking, inland, more rivers and lakes and things like that. But we wanted to just get in front of you and say we're here if we can help, or you think we can, or you can help us. Even better for us. We just want to alert you to all that and say that we would more than welcome any thoughts that you have tonight or in the future.
Okay. Well, thank you. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for these commission members?
No, I just want to thank them for coming. It's good to know that you exist. I guess I knew that you existed, but I never took the time to really check it out. So this is very helpful. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for listening. You guys, watching one of your meetings today, we realized how much you guys have to have a lot of stick-to-itiveness to stay through a whole meeting.
Well, and yes, and we do appreciate, thank you very much for coming and sharing what your commission does. And I'm sure, as we think about what we've heard tonight, that we can reach out and, if we have questions or comments, we can definitely reach out and be in touch.
That would be great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
All right. So our next agenda item are the approval of minutes. So hopefully people had a chance to look at the minutes. I found a typo, but I'm not even sure it's worth even talking about. So, I guess I'm talking about it, but it was plan instead of plant. But because of the way these minutes go, I think it's fine. Were there other comments on or questions on the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes of the October 4th meeting.
I'll second it.
All right, no discussion. We can discuss quickly. All right, all in favor of approving?
Aye.
Okay, so the next agenda item, is it me?
Yes, it's you.
So I am going to, some of you may have already heard this, and it's sad news, so I'm sorry. But Tom Paul passed away on Saturday.
Oh, geez.
Really?
So I just want to read you. So I only found out because he was a member of the land trust as well. And his daughter got our meeting notice last week and
Wow.
emailed back and said he was in the ICU. And we were like, holy cow. And that was, anyway, he passed up in Vermont. She was there with her son and his son. And if you guys want, I will pass on that information because she is looking, what his daughter has said is, if you have any detailed information about things my father did, I would love to hear them. He shared many, many, many stories with me over the years, and sometimes they blend together. So I am very sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but
Yep.
I do want to say I was shocked. I knew he was ill. I did not realize how ill. And it seems like, just it was just a couple months ago that he was.
I think he missed our last meeting and I was surprised he wasn't there.
Well, that was the meeting. So he had said that he had previously, that was his last meeting was previous to that one.
Yep. So I was shocked because he's at all the meetings. So this is very sad to hear.
I'm sorry, but so that I will share that email with you all if you feel you want
Please do.
to his daughter.
Yep.
Um,
He had a lot of anecdotes.
he did. And he had I have lots of things, not lots, but I will definitely be reaching out to her. That was sad, and I'm sorry. So
Damn it.
yeah, it was shocking. I was shocked. He didn't seem that ill. But he had I did not know he had mesothelioma, and he'd been for a couple years.
That's evil. Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know, but I just want to say that he had been a member for so long and contributed and really
was
great volunteer person and really cared about wetland and land trust issues. So he was already missed by moving, but doubly missed now.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are sorry, that was my only comment. So John, I don't know if you have any
No, I don't.
yeah, sorry, I feel bad. I just kind of shocked you
No,
guys.
thanks for letting us know.
But I felt, this group, we kind of been together and
Right.
Oh,
so yeah, so maybe we can all just have like I don't know if you drink, but terrapin
In his honor, I will look to ask tougher questions in the future.
on trees. On trees, all about trees. It's all about trees. I'm gonna incorporate. So yeah, and I'll forward this on to you guys after we get off this call.
Thank you.
Let you know. Okay, so well, we are down to our last item, which is adjournment. If someone wants to make a motion.
Well, I will move to adjourn this meeting and with heavy heart.
And John is seconding.
I second that.
All right. Yeah, I agree. It is very heavy heart. So hope you guys sorry, I feel like I just ruined your evenings, but I hope forward the email and we will think positive thoughts about Tom and how much he gave back to the
Right,
community.
right.
Yep.
We'll see you on December 6th.
It's gonna be a long one in December, I think, so,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
okay.
yep.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Happy
Kia.
Thanksgiving, everybody. See you later.
Good night.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Get out and vote tomorrow.
Yep, vote tomorrow.